on the parts. So I went ahead and started cutting out the parts, my sides. So here's the side out of 100 styrene, and here is the template. I also cut out the back, the front windshield, the hood, and also my top for the truck. And I start off with the side. So what I did is I traced everything out, I cut it all out, and then I made my lines. You got to make sure that they're square from here and here, because that's what you're going to use as reference point. So see, everything is nice and square, and same thing with on this side. Okay, next part, what I did is I cut this along this edge. I made it about 45 degrees. Now how you make this part is, I'll show you on a piece of scrap paper, or scrap styrene, is just a piece of scrap here. And then I always like using my finger gauge. So let's just say if I want 1/2 inch, so I measure out 1/2 inch. That's about 1/2 inch. So what I do is I put my pencil on the mark, and I put one of my fingers right here along the edge of the styrene, and I just go up. So now I have a line that's exactly 1/2 inch. What I do is I scribe it. I cut it a couple of times. Don't cut all the way through, because you'll see why. And then I take a pair of pliers, and then I easily bend it over. You see how that comes apart, and it's not falling off. You don't want to fall off, because again, it's real hard to line up. So you just go like this, and then what you do is you take a bit of glue. I have some CA glue. You put it right along your cut line, and then I also use some accelerant to speed up the process. You let that dry, and then nice and solid. So now you have an angle that you can work with, and you don't have to worry about it flopping over or doing whatever it wants to do. Alright, it's pretty easy. You might want to use a couple pieces of scraps just to bend it over. Like I said, not hard, because you will snap it if you go too hard. So that's how I made this right there. I cut that, I curved it. Now, wherever you want to, you have to cut on the line that you want to bend opposite. So I cut it on this side so I could bend it over. And if it was in reverse, I would do the reverse. I cut it on the inside, I bend it out. So that's how I got that. And then I made my back. Okay, again, I used a piece of cardboard. Okay, I wanted my truck to be about 7.25 inches wide. By the time I put my wheel fairings, or I'm probably going to be about 3/4 inch. So the whole width would probably be about 8 1/4, something like that. Depending on how wide your axles are, and with your tires. And also, I'm using the RC 4-wheel drive Flashpoint tires. I think they'll be kind of an army style looking truck. And you see, I have enough room. I just want to let you know that I didn't modify this part right here. What I did is I took off about 1/2 inch. So I made the arc a little bit bigger. Before it used to come down a little more, but I made it a little bigger so that my grill is not as wide. So what I did is for the back is, again, make sure everything's square. I went 7 inches plus your thickness of your material, which is about 1/8 inch. So that gives me 7 1/4 inches. Again, everything is square. Okay. And what I did is I put a piece of, I did on a template out of cardboard first. And then what I did was, I wanted a bit of angle for my sides, where the windshield is going to go, or not the windshield, but the side door. Okay. So I went a little bit I wanted a little angle. So what I did is I drew a line across all the way along so that I knew where to cut, but I didn't cut this part. What you do is here, you find yourself a sharp corner of a table or something like that, and you line up your lines with the corner. And then you just kind of flex down, not too hard, you'll snap it, but it'll kind of give you an angle like this. So you can go more, you can go less, it all depends on what you're looking for. Then I had a piece of square cardboard, and what I did is again, this is square, I put this on my board, and I traced out the angle on my piece of cardboard. So this part right here. Yes, it's a Pepsi container. So I angled that out. And what I did is, then I measured the center. So what you do is you measure it, 7 1/4 or 7 1/4. So that's 3 and 7/16, I believe, or 9/16. I folded it over. And then I just cut along. First of all, I cut this one part first. So if I want a duplicate, I just fold it over, and then I just trace it, and I have so both sides are equal exactly. And then wherever this line was for my back, and also for where I bent it, I also bent it on my back. So if you take a look on this is also bent. So this is the back of your cap. You see, it all fits together nicely, and you do that on both sides, on both sides of these, and make sure that everything is square again. You know, everything's parallel, because otherwise your truck won't be parallel. That's just 5 and 9/16, and then 5 and 9/16. Then what I did is I did the windshield. That's the front. Again, I made a bit of an angle on it. You'll see later on. I cut the front of this. I bent it, then I glued it. Now, when you're doing this part, make sure that you allow enough to allow for your front windshield to fit in. So you see, it's going to be just like this. You guys see that? And then that becomes your front windshield. Then I decided to make the hood. So what I did is there's a hump on the Jeep, which is a bit of a hump, and then I just drew my lines on the inside also, and I did the same thing. I cut and I bent, because you want to have a bit of an arch here. I don't know if you guys can see that. And same with the front. The front has more of an arch, so you just kind of fold it again. You just kind of fold it over. I'll show you, like that, and you work it with your thumb. You get the spring out of it, and then see, and then again you just continue it however you want, or you can use a corner of a table. Or if it's round, maybe the back of a chair. That's what I do sometimes if it's not too much of an angle. And you just kind of form it around. So now, what we're going to do is take my side and my back. We're going to glue it. So I'll apply a bit of glue. I just put a little bit on each corner so that it doesn't glue too much if you have to take it apart. And again, I use my square to square everything up. So I line everything up like that, and then I shoot a bit of accelerant. Let it dry for a second. Make sure that this is square. And make sure you line everything up nicely. Go at the back so it has a nice curve to it, or a nice angle. And this is square. You might have to repeat this. You might have to put a little bit more glue depending on if it's stuck or not. Put more accelerant. Make sure she's nice and square. And there you go. That's one side. And And then you do this on the other side too. So you get your other side piece, which I'm looking for right now, and I can't seem to find it. So I'm back, I have to go find it. So you do that on your other piece. So you have a left and a right. So again, you put a little bit of glue. Not just enough so that it just keeps it stuck. And you start off with the bottom part. Again with your square, your accelerant. You spray a little bit on. Just like this. And then at the top, you hold it together and you spray a bit more. There you go. Alrighty, so now you got a frame, so you already got your basic body starting. And of course you got to use a flat board so to make sure everything is nice and square. And then what you do is you take your your front, and you slide it in, just like that. And you put a bit of glue. Again, not too much, because if you have to take it apart, it's a lot easier to remove a little bit of glue than a lot of glue. And again, with the accelerant. I just use this because it's a lot easier, it's a lot faster, you know, after waiting for it to dry. You turn it around, and then you do the same thing, just a dab. Again, with the accelerant. So, you see? So now, everything should be nice and square. Okay. Next, you take your top. So I've already pre-measured my top. And what you do is, once you have this is all set up, then what you do is, you grab a piece of styrene, and then you just kind of make sure that you cut it after, when you glue it all together, you can cut this piece afterwards. So you just line up where your corners are. So right there and right over here, you just kind of line it all up, and then you can scribe it and then cut it. And again, this has to be square because everything else is square. So again, here you put a bit of glue on. So I start off with one corner. I line it all up. Make sure it's all lined up. Spray it. And then you go to the other corner. Once this side has cured, you go to the next one, and then you line it up so it's even with your finger. So you just lift it up a bit, put a bit of glue. Again, you line everything up with your fingers, make sure everything is nice and square. Alrighty. Okay, so there's your top. You can put a little bit of glue in the back, just so that everything holds together. It's a lot easier to work on with it when it's not flopping all over the place. Alrighty, and then also the top. You kind of glue that. And you'll have a little bit of gaps here and there, which is okay, because you'll be sanding this over anyway. So you don't have to worry about if it's a really big gap, then I would try to file it down as much as I could, try to make everything level. So we're going to put the hood on. So again, with the hood, So on with the hood part, what I did is, where's my hood? There it is. So I made a piece of cardboard again. I had taped all this stuff together prior, and then I lined everything up so that everything would fit nicely. And then I measured. So right now I have I got 6.5, and then the front. So what I did is I just tapered the front just a little bit, probably about 1/4 of an inch, so 1/8 of an inch on both sides. And then at the front here is about 6 1/4. So again, I start off with a square piece. I drew my line. I drew a center line, and then I went out to 3 1/4, 3 1/4, and then here from the center line, I went out 3 inches, 3 1/16, so that this is 7 inches, no, 6 1/4, and then at the back is 6.5. So there's about 1/8 of an inch taper. And what I did is, again, I drew my lines, folded, I cut first one, then I folded it over, and then I just cut a duplicate, so you have exactly, so it's equal on both sides. And then after that, I have my lines here for my hood, as you guys can see, right here. On the inside, I scribed it and I snapped it, and I re-glued it, because this has a bit of a arch to it. So what I did is I just took my styrene and I bent it over, and then I bent this one over, so it gives you kind of a winged effect like that. So this is all nice and square or straight. And then also I put on my front pieces, which comes down. And then here, I decide I'm gonna glue it on. So this is the trickiest part of it all. So put a bit of glue. This is where you have 10 hands would be great, because then you can have somebody hold on to it. So usually I'd start off with the first one. I put accelerant there. Wait till it sets, and then I go back to the other one, and I glued it here at the back. And then you hold on to it, and then you do the same thing here. Kind of hold it, and you feel to make sure everything is as square as possible and as level as possible. You throw a bit of accelerant. You let that dry, and then you do the back part. Just a little bit. You don't need much. So you just put it there. You let that set, and there you go. You have a hood that you can start working with. And then I made my grill. So what I did is, here there's a whole bunch of bars, which I'm going to fill in later on. And then also I took my finger again with a marker to draw out my lights. So I'm going to use one of the bucket lights that I use from Tamiya. You know, their lamps that they go on top of the roll bar. That's what I use. I'll cut it out. Next episode I'll show it to you. What again? I'm guessing. Oh, I went up about an inch, and I drew another line. Okay. And then I'm going to go over probably, I'm guessing, about 5/8 of an inch again. I'm doing my line like that and like this. So on both sides they're even. Now I'm going to glue this inside. Oh yeah, and here I put a bit of an arch here. That matches the hood. If you take a look at the Nukizer, I think. They have a little arch in the center of the hood. So again, just put a bit of glue. Oh yeah, and don't forget to cut off the ends right here, because don't forget we might, we put an angle here. So when you put it up there, if it's square, it's not gonna line up. Put a bit of glue here, like that. You can set it back a little bit because on the picture, you know, there is a bit of a lip. You know, probably about a 1/16 of an inch would be great. Alrighty, and then same thing with the other side. You just put a little bit. And put a bit of celery. Perfect. Just like that. And then here it came off a little bit, but that's okay because we're just going to put a bit more glue, and we're just going to just press it in. It came apart. You got that set. There you go. So that's how we make our basic frame. Take a look. So I'll zoom in on this. Oh. There you go. And then in the back. Again, you have a little bit of gap. That's not a big deal. I'll show you how to on the next episode. We'll fill all that in, and then we'll don't worry about that. And at the front here, right here, because there's a bit of a hump, I'll just put a bit of glue on the front, and I'll raise it with my hand. Alrighty. I'll raise it with my hand just to give it a bit of an arch. I don't know if you guys can see that right here. And I glue it. So this has just a bit of an arch. You can feel it. So the next episode we're going to do is I'm going to make my back. So this is going to be like that. And then we'll cut it all out. I'll have all the pieces. And also we're going to cut out the windows right here. Always keep your template, because you're probably going to need to cut this part out where the door panels are. And also you're going to trace a line for your windows. So again, real quick, like I use this. I'm going to use this line for my bottom of my window. I'll just do it real quick, like, guys. So again with the finger, and of course the finger, so I have that same angle. Because this is on an angle, what you want to do is make sure that wherever your line is, right here, you draw another line across using the bottom. So I'm going about 5 inches, and I'm going to transfer it over also to 5 inches. Because you don't want to use this line because it slopes downwards. And then you see where my 2 marks are? You just draw a line across, and then again on the picture it tapers, so your front goes narrower than your bottom. Something like this. And then after that you just draw a line down. Again, use your finger for the bottom. So we're going up probably 1/4 of an inch or so. And then you just take your This gives you kind of a rough outline. And then here, it comes up, I believe, like this, and then upwards like that. So there's your body panel, and then we're going to cut out the window. And I'll show you how to do that on the next episode. So if I went too fast, let me know. Also, if you guys want these patterns, I can put them online or on the RC crawler or the guild, and with the measurements. If you guys are following this, if you guys are interested in doing this build with me, and I'll supply you all the measurements and all that type of stuff, so you'll have pretty much the same truck as this. And the next time, also, we're going to do fenders. We're going to put the fenders on. So what I did is for the fenders, I went about 3/4 of an inch, and I started bending it. So what you do is you just take your finger, bend it. Once you get the flex out, you're okay. It's rigid at the very beginning, but once you start bending it like that, again, if you have a round table, let's say a 3-inch table leg or something like that, just wrap it around and then just kind of go back and forth. And then once you have your basic shape, then I go by hand. I go tighter and tighter. Not too much, because you will snap it. So just go like that. You massage it, type of thing, and it becomes very, very flexible. So then when you want to attach it, it's pretty much to its shape. So that's it for right now. Like I said, if there's something that I haven't mentioned, please let me know through the forums or on the YouTube channel, and I'll try to answer the best I can. And in the next couple of days, I'll probably cut up my back, and we'll get that started. And we're on to the almost getting everything done. Well, not everything done, but at least we'll have the body done, and then we'll show you how to do all the finer details. Alrighty? Thanks again. Bye now.